In the name of Allah, the entirely beneficent, the entirely merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of all the worlds. Sovereign of the day of recompense, it is you, Allah, whom we serve, and it is you, Allah, whom we ask for help. Guide us on the straight path, the path of those upon whom you have bestowed favour, not of those who have evoked your anger, nor those who are astray. Okay, I want to thank the entire nation of Islam for being, as it is, our teaching source during such a dark hour. And I would like to also thank my mother, who raised me and made sacrifices that I am learning of, and yet will never comprehend the depth of. Welcome to my series. Well, it's a new series. It's not like something that's been going on. It's a new series of broadcasts called The Universal. Here I'll be sharing to the best of my ability what I've been learning and writing down for the purpose of quickening us to life and also to help us grow into the spiritual mind of Almighty God, who came to us in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. And it is in his name and in the names of the Most Honourable Elijah Muhammad and the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan that I greet you in the words of peace of Asalam Alaikum. If you've tuned in to the last episode, you kind of know what this is about, but if you don't, I'll give you a bit of a context. I have a lot of writings over the past, it's really the past 10 years, but some of those years are my there's immature moments within all the years, I guess, but the beginnings, some of the writings I read over and I'm like, okay, they're not as developed. So I say around 8 years I've been studying, trying to find my flow in the truth, trying to live to the best of my ability up to it. I'm working for it. And yes, we basically were sharing a lot of what I've got down over that time. And yes, hopefully it comes out as as clear as I would like it to, because there's a lot here for us to learn. There's a lot of insight, and we're going to get through it if it be Allah's will. So a couple of things I kind of wanted to begin with was where did all this come from? So the beginning of why I started, why did I start doing all these writings? Well, after hearing the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan for the very first time, I had this sort of, and it really wasn't, I can't really remember if it was like a conscious thing, but I just started to write down things that he'd said because it meant so much to me, and it just really hit somewhere in my soul that I just couldn't quite, I couldn't quite shake it off. Not that I was ever trying, but I couldn't quite forget it, and it transformed my whole entire perspective, my whole entire heart, and my whole entire life. And from that point on, I've just been going with it, and I've been growing. I've been also essentially dying as well, because there's a part of me that, you have to learn to bury. You have to learn how to bury. Sometimes, sometimes we make mistakes, and I've made many mistakes along my way of getting to this point, as we all do, as you all will know, and you'll have experienced that for yourselves. But the whole reason why these writings, after it becoming really a conscious then effort, was that I thought that I could help him, and I just wanted to help him, because as I grew and as I learned, I was so grateful that I was coming to know all of this, that You know, when somebody gives you something that is really something you can't buy, or something you can't really thank somebody enough, or you can't repay somebody, you know, you want to give back in whatever way that you feel like you can. And this is the way that I felt like, you know, it was constant as well, but this is the way that I felt was how I was going to give back to the minister, and how I was going to essentially give back to all those that support him and love him and have stuck with him and will not do anything other than stick with him, which is beautiful. And so, you know, I can only thank yous as well, because that's that's a very, very heavy man to stick with in such a world like this and such a time. Um, Now, another reason that, well, I have a couple of things that I kind of wanted to, like, before I went into this folder that I've got here, like today's folder, today's pages. I wanted to sort of break down a couple of scriptures that, you know, not only inspired me, but kind of, in some sense, forced me to do this, because I felt to some degree like I was, or have been, not doing the right thing by holding these things. I think everything happens in its own time, and I think now is a good time to start revealing some of these things that Allah's been, you know, revealing to me, and giving me, and allowing me to creatively express the way that I express them. But it's been very, it's been on my heart. So we're going to open up with a few scriptures. We're going to start with the Bible. The easiest first. I say the easiest because these are quite like beautiful scriptures that kind of give me a reminder to do it, and give me like a strong sign that yes, you should do it, and if it's on your heart, then it is. So we're going to start with Isaiah 61. 61 1, which I didn't screenshot. I'm now mad at myself, so give me a second, because I thought I did have this ready on my phone. 61 1. Isaiah. Okay. Gosh. And, you know, we should be prepared in this stuff, so I'll be kicking myself after the video. So, okay, so Isaiah 61 1. The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon me, and because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor, he has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives, and to release from darkness for the prisoners, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favour and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all those who mourn, and provide for those who grieve in Zion, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. They will be called oaks of righteousness, a planting of the Lord for the display of his splendor. Another verse from the Bible that has kind of inspired me to do this is that it's actually a conversation between Peter and Jesus. Now, Jesus says, well, I'll read you the verse. So it's John 21:15, and it goes like this. It says, when they had finished eating, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? Yes, Lord, he said. You know that I love you. Jesus said, feed my lambs. And then we're going to go to the next verse. Again, Jesus said, Simon, son of John, do you love me? He answered, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Jesus said, take care of my sheep. This is the next verse. The third time he said to him, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Peter was hurt because Jesus asked him the third time. That's interesting, by the way. I'm just going to stop there. That's interesting, because that number 3 is really, really significant in the Nation of Islam. And I've noticed just by reading this each time that he answers Jesus, he says something different, because this time when he says, you know, do you love me? He said, Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. But look, his third answer is feed my sheep. Now, just to go in, before I go into the like why I've mentioned that, I kind of just picked up on it. The third one says the first one says feed my lambs. The second one says take care of my sheep. And then the third one says feed my sheep. So I just find that really interesting. I thought because they kind of differ, and I just know that God is a master, you see, and I just see his masterful works when I see them. So, but the reason why I wanted to highlight that verse is because, you know, it's almost like God has been saying to me, like, do you love the Nation of Islam? Do you love the people who I have come 9,000 miles to save? And I'm saying, well, yes, of course I do. And then he's going, yeah, well, why don't you speak to him about what you got there? And so that's basically, again, it's part of what has inspired me to do this, because, listen, we can't say we love people unless we make an actual effort to show them that we actually do love them. And that this is like, you know, hopefully this is a strong, like, evidence that demonstrates my love for you. And it also gives me something for me too. So it's like, it gives me the freedom, because I remember Elijah Muhammad said, if you hold this truth in your heart will burst. And it's kind of like I have really felt my heart be heavy some days, and I think this will really help me to like know that, you know, despite everything that's been going on, I gave it a shot, and I did try to reach out, and I did reveal as much as I could. I'm going to try and make this every day. I'm going to try and do this every day, just one episode every single day. I mean, I've got enough material here for it, so. But we're going to move on to the Quran before we go into, obviously, my reading the notes and being the not great reader that I am sometimes. I mean, I did have a listen to my last episode. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was. But we're going to go to the Quran. So it says, are you more knowing, or is Allah? And who is more unjust than one who conceals a testimony that he has from Allah? And Allah is not unaware of what you do. So we'll go through all three of them. I guess four of them. And there's another verse. So that was that was chapter 2, verse 140. This one is chapter 2, verse 159. It says, indeed, those who conceal what we sent down of clear proofs and guidance, after we made it clear for the people in the scripture, those are cursed by Allah, and cursed by those who curse. Then we'll go to the next one. This is chapter 2, verse 146. Those to whom we gave the scripture know him, talking about Prophet Muhammad, as they know their own sons. But indeed, a party of them conceal the truth while they know it. And then the last one is chapter 2, verse 174, I think that is. Indeed, those who hide the revelations, trade in them for a fleeting gain, consume nothing but fire in their bellies. Allah will neither speak to them on the day of judgment, nor will he purify them, and they will suffer a painful punishment. Now, can you imagine me sat here with a pile of works that I've not given out, and me reading this? I'm like petrified. I'm like, yo, I gotta release this stuff, because it's like Allah was kind of showing me a mirror of like, come on, you're just like, you've got a lot of things there that I've given to you that I've inspired you to get down to, that can be used as guidance, and you're not using it. And so it's like, again, I've started this broadcast with these scriptures because You know, I'm inspired by both helping you, but I'm also inspired by the fear of Allah, because I don't want to cross Allah. Nobody wants to cross Allah. Like, nobody wants to be guilty of anything that, you know, Allah has a right and can punish us for and chastise us for. Nobody wants that, you know. And I think I've had my fair share of chastisements over the past, like, couple of years or whatnot, you know. And even that is, I don't want that. Thank you very much. It's so that I kind of wanted to give you that as a bit of a context, and then we can go into the writings now. But I hope that wasn't, again, I kind of didn't think that came out the best, but we move. But I hope that kind of makes sense, you know. I'm kind of in a position where Allah is forcing me to release a lot of what I have, you know, got here. And I believe in it. I truly, truly believe in everything that I've got here as a help. You know, I've not always saw it the way that I do now, but, you know, these are the things that we have to. Do you know what it is? Sometimes it's the relationship that we have with ourselves can affect the work and the things that we do. It's almost like my love for self wasn't in the right place yet, wasn't in the proper place, but it feels like it is these days. I feel like I'm getting somewhere with that. I've gotten a lot further than I was, like, obviously 8 years ago. So, you know, everything happens in divine timing, and I hope that the things that I can, you know, give, you know, set the right tone, and I hope it does some good. You know, I'm very, very patient, but I'm also very, very, like, cautious, anxious. You know, that prayer that we say, that we should be saying 7 times a day, that I should be saying 7 times a day. You know, it's really, really important that we do, and it's really powerful, because we don't want anxiety, we don't want grief, we don't want to be guilty of being a coward or concealing anything of good, and, you know, we want to be in His favour. You know, we don't want to be those who are cast off and left forgotten and all that stuff, because Allah's capable of doing that, and I don't want to go down that route. Thank you very much. I don't want to do that. Don't want to displease the God, you know. So, but I think I'm in a position where, anyway, I'm probably rambling on, but I hope you get the message. Okay, so this one doesn't have a title on this document. It's just got a couple of Kaabas, you know, like the emoji, the Kaaba. So, and then a little diamond or a little crystal or something. So we'll just get started, I guess. So, my love and my kindness was still very powerful even at the lowest point of my life. Even when people let me down or had done me wrong, knowingly or unknowingly, I'd rather be silent and patient than become embittered about it. Reminds me of you and your sojourn in America, black man. Look, the devil did all he could to break you. He took your name, he took your language, he took your land, he took your wealth, he even took your God away. He put you in chains in every sense. He refused to let you read and be known to others as you are. He graped your women and poisoned your babies, hung you on trees and claimed you 3/5 of a human being. But somehow, some way, you still manage to love and care for one another and find your way back home to yourself. Praise be to Allah. That's beautiful. I don't care how hard they beat you, black man. The Creator put Himself far too deep into your soul for even the worst of ours and even the most wicked of your own to snatch that essence away. God is coming after you, black man. You are like water. If you were to punch the ocean and you slow it down in slow motion, You will see the dent in the water, but then when the water has finished splashing, in its reactive emotion and rocking, it merges back into its original position of calmness and serenity amongst the larger world of water, right back into that natural law of total devotion. Oh, praise be to Allah. I loved reading that. Oh, praise be to Allah. That was beautiful. Okay, the next part. Stop eating the fruit if you don't agree with the tree. For your own good, it's better to be in disbelief than to know the truth and love to find the cracks in it, cracks of which there are none. Praise be to Allah. Elijah Muhammad and Farrakhan, they be the last level. So obviously we moved on from that cracks one. I put Elijah Muhammad and Farrakhan, they be the last level. Because it really is. I was actually speaking to somebody on the way home today. His name was Lucky, and he was an African man. I always speak to, original members of, our planet when I see them, and when it's just the right time, sometimes they'll just be like, yeah, it's time. Or like one, a brother or a sister will just walk past me and I'll be like, I have a duty here. So anyway, and he was telling me like, he was a Christian from like Africa, and we was having a conversation about like, I was telling him about Master Fard Muhammad. No, I was really telling him about Elijah Muhammad and Farrakhan. Started with Farrakhan, then we got to Elijah, but then, Master Fard Muhammad is a very heavy subject actually. It took me roughly about 3 years to fully wrap my head around like Master Fard Muhammad. So I usually start with the minister. Plus, people usually know the minister or like have heard of the minister. Now, so I was basically explaining to him that, you've got the Muslim world who are waiting for Mahdi, or the Muslims are waiting for Mahdi. You've got the Christians who are waiting for the Christ, and you've got the Jews that are waiting for the Messiah. And I was basically saying to him, I was going, we can't wait forever. Somebody's got to show up, and if somebody does, like, we have to bear that into account. We have to take that into account. And so, when I say Elijah Muhammad and Farrakhan are the last level, it's really like what I'm really saying in that statement is that they are the ultimatum. They are the last, stage of. They're the last stage basically in all of these faiths, and I was letting him know about because he said to me, he was obviously trying to test like see if I was like a genuine and sincere brother, because listen, I know what it's like to having to look over your shoulder and whatnot and wonder, is your intention pure, and what's the go on. So I understood, but he said he said to me, he went, so you're telling me if I got my Bible out now and I started preaching to you, you would love me? I said, yes, sir. And he just put his hand out. He was like, yeah, respect. And I was like, yeah, like, we're brothers, like, But anyway, so we'll move on. I have got my secret adversaries hesitant to insult me in person in an intelligent way, as they like to do others who have no defense or way of hearing telepathically the deception and the remarks, because they know I'd hear them loud and clear and crash it all down on their barnet for trying. Again, my language is very humorous. Again, a lot of it's like spiritual, universal, hence the name. But then some of it is very like personal to me. It's kind of an insight to what I'm like, into myself. Again, it's like these things here that I've wrote down. It's a mixture of some of the inspiration or the knowledge that God has inspired to me, mixed with a lot of like my personal things. So it's almost like a little diary for me as well. So just thought I'd throw that out there. Okay, let's move on. Church has become a place where people go to be deceived. That's really interesting. Because and because again, I have to break stuff like that down because people might get the wrong idea. People don't always, something you should learn, brothers and sisters in the nation, people don't always see things the way that you see them. So you have to help them see it how you see it so that they can see it. You see it. So, praise be to Allah. So, church has become a place where people go to be deceived. So it's like people know that they're living a lie or a false, in a false way. And so it's almost like church has become, or can, or in most cases has become, somewhere where people go to like stay numbed. It's almost like getting another dose of a numbing agent in the mind, because I think the pain of having to deal with the fact that a lot of religion has failed is too big of a, it's too deep of a realization to come to grips with. They would rather exist, it's almost like, this is why Christ said you have to deny yourself, and you have to die, essentially. It's like really what it means is you have to let go. You have to let go of your old, like, understanding, as the Bible says, lean not on thine own understanding. Praise be to Allah. So we're going to move on. If the demons in you haven't been agitated by my presence yet, or should I say Christ's presence in me, just stick around. Told you I'm a warrior in this thing. Somebody's prayer is saving you right now. Oh, that's beautiful. Somebody's prayer is saving you right now. That's wonderful. Wisest thing you could do with a liar and a deceitful person is don't give them any opportunities to plant their fruit. That's another one. I'm just going to keep reacting this way to everything. So, alright. I was born on a chessboard, and they underestimate what powers in me that those circumstances would produce. Yeah, we just said that. Oh, so it's all in one. So I'll say it all in one. It goes, I was born on a chessboard, and they underestimate what powers in me that those circumstances would produce. If the demons in you haven't been agitated by my presence yet, or should I say Christ's presence in me, just stick around. And then we'll move on. By the way, let me give you a bit of context. Is my father was a chess player. So, I won't go too much into this, but I will just say this. He was very chess-like in terms of his ways of things, and it kind of, like in other environments or in other aspects of my family life, it trained me in a certain way. So envy being another one, but it trained me in a particular way that would cause me to be, as I am today in to some degree. I've kind of always been on alert because I've always been, I've always been in a certain environment that has to cause me to stay alert. Do you understand? So these are some of the traits that I've picked up. So that's kind of why I use that language. I was born on a chessboard kind of thing. So I just needed some water. It's like actually, it's exhilarating. Some of it really is. I'm trying to stay composed. Praise be to Allah, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. Okay. See, you're going crazy over somebody disgracing the Quran. They burn it, they draw on it, they flush it down the toilet and do all manner of evil with it, but that does not take away its power to transform human life, does it? All those things get you to rise, but what about the sister down the road that was raped by her neighbour who isn't in jail yet? Does anybody go crazy over at his front door? You know what I'm saying there? There's a lot of things I'm going to go into, I guess, on this, but You know, that is the importance of the value of a woman, what I'm touching on. I'm saying we're going, I mean, rightly so, you know, when people treat the Quran and do all kinds of evil with it, we really go nuts, and so we should. But what I'm saying is, in the same respect, is like, what about the sister that was hurt by the PDF? What about the same? In other words, when they say that saying where they go, keep that same energy. Pardon me. It's like, why don't we keep that same energy when a sister is abused or hurt, just like we do when somebody, violates the Quran? So I'm giving us a mirror of our spiritual condition. It's almost like, yeah, I think I've explained that pretty well enough, I think, there, but Allah is my witness. Okay, this is quite a big one. So let me just go through this a little. Just bear with me a second. Okay, we're going to just go through this. So it says, "O nation, you are the luckiest people on the face of the earth." And you could argue you're the luckiest people that ever walked on the face of the earth. Why? Because God, unlike other times, not only sent people after you, no, this time he came to you himself to come and save you. That's in bold, by the way. He came to you himself to come and save you. And there's an exclamation mark as well. Because like, ugh. Okay, he came in the wisest form, considering your predicament and your situation. He came. Which is why, if you throw his divine coming back at him because of a misunderstanding of a prophecy that somebody has gone and straightened out, and then your attitude and position stays the same, then pardon the expression, but that's the icing on the cake. So I'm telling you now, if you reject this one or these ones that have come with undeniable evidence of higher intervention in our affairs for you, then you are as doomed as Satan and the gang themselves, who promised to deceive you, and you let them. Of course, I don't like writing these messages, but I must tell you, or God will take me out of his favour very quickly and find somebody else to write it, or do it, or say it. But I bear much pain with this whole situation because I am personally and thankfully relieved of any doubt about the Master, the Messenger, and the Minister. And to be honest, on my worst days, I've wished it was me that could swap places with you so that you could survive and I die instead. But as I watch pardon me. Remember, I'm reading these almost for the first time also, so. But as I watch over you, and I see what you still do among your own, and especially how you treat the minister, which include those in total awe of him, slowly, instead of taking your arrows and praying for you, you make me want to step out of the way and refrain from doing so, that you may taste what you actually deserve. I have had enough of those woe is me and woe is you thoughts and crying over you when he has given 90 years of pure love, which I can relate to, in that I have really given it my all to warn you and teach you of the consequences of rejecting the Christ and his mouthpiece, and I'm tired of watching you willingly ignore the warning. My prayers are active like never before, and ain't no envious Satan deceiving me. Praise be to Allah. In fact, if I was over there, I'd call all of you out and go out looking for all the worst of you that I might make them known. But Allah is the best knower. He's kept me in my chamber for a reason. But point being is we've gone into the red zone, and it's all going to get dark after the great fast of Ramadan. Wow. And that's coming up soon. See, I didn't even know. See, praise be to Allah. Just praise be to Allah. I see the skies looking stern. If it were not for your prayers, I've put in brackets, if it were not for your prayers. O woman, O man, take heed to the call. So why are you in deep trouble, O nation, but particularly America? Why? Because linking it back to how lucky you are, generations and generations, weeping mothers upon weeping mothers, have wanted to know who God is, and have wanted to see what you now refuse to see or explore. So they wanted to know and gave their lives for it, and yet never saw it. And here's you refusing to give your life to it, even though it's right in front of you in abundance, turning away because of some silly emotional reason, or some dissatisfaction with God's choice, or just God in general. This absolutely puts you in a dangerous position. I don't particularly like to say it, but I love what pleases Allah, and I am ready for any censurer. Oh, you better believe it. I am ready for any censurer. I deal with the worst of censurers where I am, so I am well trained to defend the man whom you should of and should be taking heed to, especially this Ramadan. I understand Farrakhan's pain, not quite as deeply, but enough. Even just a taste of his pain is enough to have me rocking. Yeah. And I'm not even gonna go there with Elijah's pain. Yeah. Oh my God. True. That's so true. It's like with Elijah, his pain is like so great that you can't even fathom the weight that he was under, which really does make him. This is not me reading now. This is me actually just like speaking to you. His pain is so powerful, like to even comprehend. So it's just amazing that that's there for us to look at. Because I mean, this is what I do think though as well, is like Elijah's pain was supported by the guidance that came before the pain, which was Master Fard Muhammad. So if you think about that, it's like, I mean, God was with him for 3 and a bit years. So just think about all, and he said he was up day and night, like day and night, morning, to the evening, into the next morning, like, can you imagine what he put in him? Can you imagine what he put in him? Put it this way, he put something in him to deal with the pain that he was going to go through, or, get a strong taste of by saving, the black man in America and warning the world, really fighting the enemy. So, and then, so I'm not even going to go there with Elijah's pain. It says, he has earned his way. They have earned their way. Now, I'm not in no position to judge, but I can inform you well enough, but you certainly are a trifling people, and time is shortening, and God will soon go from the attribute of being the patient to the full and complete attribute of the destroyer, and the world will know when it has happened. Take heed to it or let it alone. The choice is yours. It's going to take, and then this, I've quoted Elijah Muhammad, it says, it's going to take more than preaching to get our people out of this condition. And then there's another one, it says, this is Nuri Muhammad. What a brother. I love him. If you see him today, any of you, if anybody's listening that are around him, tell him that you love him. And tell him Allah loves him as well, because he is loved greatly. He said, the best of us will come by the word alone, but the rest of us will come by the whooping. He's a great servant. He really is. Okay. So we'll keep going. It's quite a big note, this one. It says, you might want to know why you are the luckiest. Well, because you've got angels confirmed around you. You have the wheels confirmed above you. You have scripture being confirmed by God's messengers, past and present. You have the truth of the Lord of the worlds again confirmed. You are the greatest nation raised among men. That being confirmed by the Quran, which you also have the meaning of in your midst. The criterion, chapter 25. Hold on. Al Furqan, that's Farrakhan. So wait. You are the greatest nation raised among men, that being confirmed by the Quran, Al Furqan, which you also have the meaning of in your midst, Al Furqan. So what I mean there is you have a walking Quran for a teacher. You have been given divine gifts that have also been confirmed. So if you even just listen to what I just said there, like, you've got the angels confirmed around you, you have the wheels confirmed above you, the scripture being confirmed by God's messengers, past and present. So not only is Abraham coming back into the equation, you've got Moses, you've got Noah, you've got David, you've got all these things coming back to just this moment. Can you imagine how much of a blessing this is? To not just accept, but to deny. Sorry, that's not a blessing if you deny it, but it's a very, very serious consequence if you do deny it. So just throwing that out there. You have the truth of the Lord of the worlds again confirmed. You're the greatest nation raised among men, which it states in the Quran. Which you also have the meaning of. So what I mean there is you have a walking Quran for a teacher. This is really something to read, and praise be to Allah. You have been given divine gifts that have also been confirmed. So we'll go on. So I could go on into the functions, but oh nation, if you don't know it, know that you got it all. But I've noticed by observing people that the luckiest, the most fortunate people in the world either come out of the other end of the blessing twice as grateful, or half as grateful, even less than half in certain situations. Similar to how your partner will make you either twice the man you are or half the man that you are, and vice versa. Notice I'm using the word confirmed. Confirmed. So I got a nudge to look it up, and I found that in church you get what's commonly known as confirmation. The baptized person is known to be sealed with the gift of the Holy Spirit and is strengthened for the service and purpose of being a stronger witness to the person given the title or function Christ. This is so heavy, you know. This is so heavy. The prophets, so we're going to keep going. The prophets of the Old Testament foretold that God's Spirit would rest upon the Messiah to sustain his mission. So what I'm saying is you're lucky. Remember, we're on that lucky stuff still. What I'm saying is you're lucky in that you have been confirmed or have received. Right, hold on a minute. I met a man today. Oh Allah. I met a man walking home today. I didn't know I was going to read this, by the way, but I met a man today and his name was Lucky. I was speaking to him for about 30 minutes, maybe a bit less, probably about 20 minutes. And his name was Lucky, so it's just very interesting how Allah works. It's really funny. It makes me laugh. It makes me keep smiling. Praise be to Allah. So what I'm saying is you're lucky in that you have been confirmed or have received the confirmation on so many levels, more so on the interior world than the exterior. Now, but for some reason or another, it's still not enough proof or evidence. And so the blinding element and the degenerative process that comes with rejection of the Messiah, whom our confirmation was designed in order for us to strengthen him, starts taking place. And we become harder and harder to teach and guide, more violent of spirit and more treacherous to the messenger without remorse. Very random, but in the story of So I'm saying this is very random, but in the story of Pinocchio, every time Pinocchio lies, his nose gets bigger. And interestingly, every time you lie to yourself, your interior world, your ego becomes more harder to penetrate through, meaning the more difficult you become to teach the truth to, the more stiff-necked and bitter you become. You're like a swollen, sore, sensitive, reactive, and very painful to manage, and hurts like crazy when popped. But brothers and sisters, every wound, no matter how big or small, can and does heal only by the grace of God. He is attributed as the great forgiver. I don't know what it is in Arabic, but I'm sure there is an Arabic term for it. But I'm speaking in the language of the people. So he is attributed as the great forgiver, but that ego death, man, sister, woman, that's got to happen now or never, really. That's that deny yourself part. More on that another time, inshallah. This is a warning as well as it is a mercy and an enlightened word to stop eating the fruit of truth if you don't agree with the tree. To stop eating the fruit of truth if you don't agree with the tree, for your own good. God says it's better to be in disbelief than to know the truth and hide it while you know, and to love to find the cracks or faults in it, cracks of which there are none. So that was even in the thing before. Praise be to Allah. The Quran states that those who disbelieve ever think that because we extend their time of enjoyment that it is better for them. We only extend it for them so that they may increase in sin, and for them is a humiliating punishment. It will be said to the disbelievers, surely what you are promised shall come to pass. That's Quran chapter 77. Oh no, I don't know what verse that one is. Maybe this one that I'm about to say is chapter 77. It says, "O you disbelievers, eat and enjoy yourselves in this worldly life, for a little while. Verily you are the mujrimun," means polytheists, disbelievers, sinners, criminals, etc. Yeah, chapter 77. "O you disbelievers, eat and enjoy yourselves in this worldly life for a little while. Verily you are the mujrimun." And then I've put in brackets polytheists, disbelievers, sinners, and criminals. I think that makes sense. I hope that does. I don't want to get this twisted. Do you understand? Praise be to Allah. I must explain that you're now becoming a part of America instead of remaining a part of a brand new nation established by God, and you have to get it together this Ramadan, this Ramadan, this Ramadan, this Ramadan. Because I'm getting that message in all of this as well. There's something about this Ramadan. Oh my God. One day I was studying, and the Minister Farrakhan was talking about lies and people that tell lies to gain the favour of people. So he said that the Honourable Elijah Muhammad stated that the people's tongue is crooked. So the minister then said, paraphrasing, "It's bad for the lying ones in that they tell lies like that so much that they, the liars, think that truthful people are like them." Oh, that's deep. So they start to see others how they see themselves, and truly disregard servants that come with the warning, yet a clear notification, the grace of God and the undying love for the exploration of the revelation, and most importantly to give to another what we have been given for ourselves. That's the key. It says, what is the greatest of God's gifts? Feel free to comment. Feel free to comment what you think the greatest of God's gifts are. In my conclusion, there has been a wave of, for me, I don't know about you, terrifying messages that I have been receiving from my communicators, and inshallah, you will receive them, not with fear, but with an inspiration or a desire to ask questions, and or to get back on course, and inshallah, save your own souls from the prophesied wrath of Allah, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. The war of Armageddon has begun. Thank you. Asalam Alaikum. That was a really powerful letter. That was a really powerful letter. That was very, very strong. That was very, very strong, and I hope that you received that in good spirits and with full understanding, or with a lot of understanding. And if you need to revisit what I just said, I would advise it. I'll probably read this again after after this has gone off, because I probably need to study a lot of what that's said. But we thank Allah for revealing that to us, that we can show you and reveal it to you. Of course, it's not a lightweight work. We're not taught by a lightweight teacher. We have a heavyweight for a teacher. In fact, we have somebody who's in probably a division of his own. So, praise be to Allah. But before I go further, I wanna highlight that there is. I mean, maybe I did highlight it, or I made a meal of it in that. But I do think that this Ramadan is very important, and I think if you can really dig deep this time round, I really do advise you to do so. And more importantly than the fast itself, make it as sincere as you can. Be sincere. There's a lot of people who make prayers that don't make it sincere, and that's why they don't make no motion. That's why they don't always feel like that God is with them, because maybe the sincerity of their prayers, the sincerity of their word is not always as it should be. And so make sure you're always, we all say things that we don't do, and we all do things that we don't say. But try to align all these forces, and obviously the great fast of Ramadan will certainly help you to grab a hold of some of those thoughts and some of those dimensions and paradigms that can take precedence and take the place of where God should be sitting. So this Ramadan, really try to give yourself to Allah and allow him to sit on your throne, in your dome, if you know what I'm saying. So yeah, we'll move on. The minister has often referred to the Caucasian people as a baby on our planet, and a new people. Now just picture a baby for a moment that wants to be carried up to a high place with the father. If he is not getting what he wants, he goes and says to himself, I'll make sure that he does what I want him to do. Screaming, kicking, punching, whatever he's got to do to make his father see what he wants, he'll certainly give that a go. Now, why am I saying this? Well, in the song, A White Man's Heaven is a Black Man's Hell, he writes, he, the white man, needed someone to work the land. He needed someone to work the land. His back was too weak. He needed you, black man. Those are the lyrics. So that's the minister's song. The White Man's Heaven is a Black Man's Hell. It's on record. You can go and check it out. And so those are his lyrics. But if you look at what I just said and study that over that, you might hear something. So I'll carry on with this one. It says, now because he, the baby, the new people, was physically unable to achieve what he wanted, he had to depend on another power to get what he wanted, an internal power. So because he was physically hindered due to his very weak back, because of spending 2,000 years of his existence on all fours, living the life of a beast, he depended on a power within to deceive the black man, because he, the baby, knew that the black man was a merciful, kind and compassionate creation. So at that time, the black man was seeing others how he saw himself. And at that time, the way that he saw himself was with love. No more insecurity, with a love for God, no anxiety, with a love for creation, with a love for knowledge of the branches of love, in a state of acceptance just as the baby knew that if he cried loud enough, he would get the attention that he wanted, so it is with the baby people. Just watch them. They get all hot and bothered, and they will stamp their feet in a huff and act very irrational and agitated if they don't get what they want. They start breathing fire, Bible, dragon, in brackets that says, which only means they start using their mouths as a weapon against truth. The Holy Quran says they wish to extinguish the light of Allah with their mouths, but Allah is to perfect His light, even though the disbelievers dislike it. Is that the end of that one? Oh yeah, so I've got two more. Yeah, this is really powerful, this one today. There's a lot of stuff in this one. It's really, really beautiful. All praises be to Allah. So, we'll move on. Ding! Remember the bell? Okay, so they then start, it continues actually. So they then start to manipulate you using what they used back then, which is the tricknology, which is the use of words that may stir up in you the wrong emotions and somewhat make you flinch. And then I put in brackets, build on how they become the embodiment of deceptive intelligence. Build on how they become, yeah. So, I think that's more for me as a writer. Maybe I can. So, when they start to manipulate you using what they used back then, which is tricknology, which is the use of words that may stir you up in the wrong emotions and somewhat make you flinch. I like that descriptive use of the word flinch, how they try to make you flinch. Like, I get this a lot, that, you know, white folks, they ask questions they already know the answer to, but they just like to see you flinch. You understand? Like, they like to see you put on the spot, you know. And again, this is not like hatred towards white people. This is actually just a study of them and the way that they operate, and some of the little tactics that they put on you, you know, because they're babies of the planet. They haven't been here beyond 7,000 years, 6,000 years, you know. So they're very new people on our planet. And just so we know as well, because it will probably come up a lot in this book and in this writing, I have a piece of art that I've drawn. I drew it like, I'd say like 9 years ago. Maybe I should have said this at the beginning, actually. I forgot to say this, I forgot to mention this. But this book, I was going to call it Message to the White Man in the UK. That's a fun fact. I was going to actually call this Message to the White Man in the UK. So there's going to be a lot of things in here that relate to, you know, the new people, and there's going to be a lot of things that, because that really, when at the beginning of my journey, that really did, it sit right with me, you know. I always felt like a little bit different, should we say, or like, I don't like saying that because it just kind of puts me in a certain place that I don't like to be. So, what I mean is, I always felt like that dissatisfaction, that baby-like behaviour that's coming from the people, and I always used to wonder. Me and my brother, we call it Definitely. It's from a gig song. I don't know why. It's a long story, but it's from a gig song. It's Stephanie and Bethany. Definitely. Anyway, it basically just means that, like, when somebody's trying to definitely get in your head, some people just are definitely on something like that. They're trying to definitely make you flinch. Like again, we'll go back to that word, you know. Okay, so we're gonna move on. The teacher is always silent during the test. God, I sounded like Yoda then, didn't I? But that's powerful. The teacher is always silent during the test. So it's almost as though, oh, that's actually deeper than I thought. The minister is actually silent right now. which could instigate that there is a test, you know? So that's really powerful. God is always, so I'll move on. God is always testing us because he needs to know indeed which of us is of the originator. God is always testing us because he needs to know indeed which of us is of the originator. And listen to this, family. I must say that, you know, I'm not necessarily the most perfect student, but, you know, I think the teacher would love me for how many, you know, extended notes that I've made just to be sure. It's almost like making food at a dinner. You know, you don't want to make less. You want to make more of, just in case somebody walks through the door and you say, "Are you hungry? Because I've made more. Don't worry, I took plenty. Praise be to Allah." So it's like, yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that, to be honest. Praise be to Allah. I think it kind of makes sense, but we're going to move on. Okay. You only... Yeah, my grammar's not really great on this one already. You only got in your mind that I have some ulterior motive of aggrandizing myself because you have an ulterior motive towards the very unique intelligence within that speaks to you what you do not like. So instead of listening to your own soul, you start reprimanding and devastating the angelic whispers within your own consciousness to make me look like an evil person who isn't concerned for your very life. Yeah, that's powerful. A lot of this is like, I told you, I'm sharp when it comes to those who really do have some secret little plan against me and stuff. And this is why I said before, like, if I was there with you, I would really find out who is who, and I would just get to the bottom of it. But then again, I think that's probably not the right attitude to have. And like, I'm a graceful person, but I also do think that the minister's suffered enough, and, you know, there has to be some kind of like, you know, I love my brother Zahid Muhammad. He's called Fard's Child on Instagram, and he reminds me of myself in so many ways. He has a proper warrior spirit, and I can tell that, you know, I can tell he's of that same, like, he's got that same fight. You know, he just, the fight he has, it reminds me of the fight that I have. And yeah, support that brother. He's a good brother, him. So but yeah, so we'll move on. Sometimes the opposite is the opposite of the opposite. Right, hold on a minute, because I don't want to confuse anybody, but I know my language can be quite... So hold on. That's got me that I'm spinning now. Spinning like the planets. Okay. Sometimes the opposite is the opposite of the opposite. Okay, I'm probably going to have to... I'm going to have to leave that for a moment. I'm sure you'll just be able to think on it. I actually don't. I can't see what I fully wrote there. Like, I can see what I wrote. Obviously, I'm reading it, but I can't see what I wrote, if that makes sense. So I'm going to leave that. That needs some... We need some Fergie time on that. We need some extra time. We need to that's the 120th minute type stuff, that. Anyway. Okay, I'm going to move on. Problem is, most of us are using a sledgehammer to crack open the nuts. Right. Problem is, most of us are using a sledgehammer to crack open the nuts. That is strong. Something in that. You don't need a sledgehammer to crack open the nut, do you? You could just do it with your hands carefully. Like, so it's like, oh, so, I swear down. Praise be to Allah for some of this wisdom that he inspired me to write down. And then it says, investigate the investigators. For sure, for sure. Okay. The devil finds it hard to listen to his inner voice when it says, maybe you ought to help him. Maybe go and talk to him and try to pay attention to what he's saying. Or when it says, perhaps this indeed is a man from God. The devil doesn't like getting signs that confirm the messenger he can't submit to, because too many of the signs consecutively in quick succession, aligning to the truth he wants to love but can't, make his heart palpitate. Oh, this is very deep. For the devil, there's nothing more elusive than an honest fact. He doesn't like to be taught, especially not by no black man. Like a stubborn little fisherman, he's determined to catch one with his own hands rather than just picking up a rod like the students, like the master keep asking him to, like everyone else is doing. The more I evolve, the more I realise you can't help be who you are made to be. If you know you was made like Judas, then don't worry about being no Judas to me. You're becoming quite the Judas for yourself. So when you need me, this little Muhammad will be here, and this little Muhammad will help you in the name of Allah, and smile about it as well. Allah was sufficient for Muhammad then. Allah is sufficient for Muhammad now. Oh man. Praise be to Allah. Wait, what is that? I probably need to read that again in my own time. I like that though, that it says, do you know what it is? I'll give you an insight. Obviously it's an insight to me, it always is. You know, but I'm a very spiritual man. Like I'm, if you can really look at this, I'm in the spiritual realm with a lot of this. You know, I'll bring you into your being and have you look around rather than have you look at the trees and the birds and the bees. And I'm not that kind of, well, I am. I'm sure I can do my bit in that kind of stuff too. But I'm a very, very like internal world focused kind of person. It's just the way Allah's fashioned me to be, and it's just the way I am. I was always, you know, my mother always says to me, like, out of the three of yous, because there's me and I've got two brothers, but I'm the middle child. I'm like J. Cole. But she always said, like, out of the three of yous, you was always like in your own world. You was always looking out the window. You know, you was always staring out in the window, out into the world. It's in your own world. So I've always kind of lived in my head, but not always been able to bring that element of me out. And I think some of my writings here really do show that, you know, as that's coming to contact with the minister, I've just really gone into a spiritual gear that I never even knew that I had, and never even knew that I would even be able to formulate for others, you know, let alone just formulate it and just sort of like acknowledge it for myself. I was always told, it's really interesting, I was told growing up by like my brother and stuff, he'd always be like, oh, you're so slow, like, but he, see, I was the fastest in my school, at like year 7, year 8, I was the fastest in my entire high school. But what he wasn't talking about that. I was a sprinter anyway, but he wasn't talking about that kind of slow. He always used to say, like, you're so slow, but he's like, you're mentally slow. You're always like slow, like slow. But I don't know. I kind of look at that now and I'm like, nah, you were slow. Anyway, I think I'm speeding up as time moves on. Okay, so we're gonna go moving on. Yeah. Did Did you never think there would come a time where I wouldn't be set free from having to hold out my hands to those who have hidden hatred towards God's messenger? Did you really think that my kindness was my weakness? Did you really think I was going to let you take me all the way to hell without ever fighting back? In truth, my soul couldn't register the level of betrayal, and for a while I was studying just how far into the ground you were going to allow yourself to take me. I can, and I put in bold, definitely do this all day. And I love, yeah, I'll just get to the end of it and then get to that. Did you, oh yeah, so I can, and for a while I was studying just how far into the ground you were going to allow yourself to take me. I can definitely do this all day. Did you forget that my middle name was Alexander? Did you forget about the story of Joseph? Did you forget that Lord? Did you forget that Lord is a seeing Lord, a witness over all things? That if there are 4 in the room, he is the 5th? That if there are 5 in the room, he is the 6th? Did you think that you could play with a man of God? Did you think you could take the spoils of my hard work and ignore what my soul relationship to God means for you? Did you think that because I didn't watch the inner you get the sign that I don't believe that you got the signs? Did you really think that all those black women who cried themselves sick over their savagely murdered black sons would never be avenged? Nothing is hidden from Allah. And this is the last thing that I'm going to say now, so we're kind of at the end again. We got there. So it says, and that's powerful. That's quite self-explanatory, but it's also very deep. It's been a very deep episode, hasn't it, this time? God, I've really I've fluctuated so much in this one. Okay, last thing. The brother was saying Jesus paid for it all. Jesus died for all of our sins, and that God couldn't do any more than give us his son. I thought, not in a negative or a disruptive and mischievous way, I thought I'd challenge this statement as it is. Hold on. Sorry, I really wanted this to flow because it's the last thing, but nothing ever happens the way you want it to. Alright, the brother was saying Jesus paid for it all. So I'm obviously I'm listening to somebody and I'm like writing down sort of the scenario of what was going on. So there was a brother that was saying Jesus paid for it all. Jesus died for all of our sins. That God couldn't do any more than give us his son. I thought, not in a negative way or a disruptive or mischievous way, I thought I'd challenge this statement as it is used to disband our responsibility as believers. I said, okay, well, what would be the need in a judgment day if Jesus has paid for all of mine and your sins? He gave me a few loaded paragraphs, finishing them by saying these words: this isn't a work-based salvation. We only do the work because it is expected of us. Now obviously I haven't gone into total detail regarding what this brother said prior, but to me, what he was saying was coming from a belief in a mystery God, and so what he was saying was just disassembling any reason as to why God would have a need for a material universe or a judgment day. So I responded after a while, and this was my response. I put, okay, some things I want to also ask and also highlight. Why was Jesus making disciples out of ordinary people if there wasn't any work to do? In God's own universe, work or the initiative is what keeps things thrive. This is a work-based world. The universe is eternal due to its need for it to be sustained. Jesus said, greater works shall you do. So if there's no work to do, based on it not being, as you said, not a work-based salvation, what is Jesus saying, my brother? With a love heart at the end. Oh, well, that was a really good... I just think I kept ascending. as the video went on. Praise be to Allah. I just want to, like, you know, give a real thank you to my Lord, Master Fard Muhammad, and to all of the nation, and to the minister, and to the most Honourable Elijah Muhammad, the Christ, who bore such a tremendous weight to guide us and to give us this weighty word. And I'm just very grateful right now. And we're going to end it there because it has been so long. But listen, hold your loved ones close and inspire them to, you know, make their fast, the fast of Ramadan, sincere, and to be patient. You know, keep your brothers tight, keep your brothers informed, and, you know, revisit any of this if you need any of it. And, you know, just listen to your own soul and listen to yourself, and trust yourself, even in your darkest times, in your darkest moments, or in your most clouded moments of thought, because you never know, you might just be a cloud away from cloud 9. Oh, praise be to Allah. But yeah, if you need me, I'll be around. These messages are going to come every day, inshallah, if it be the Lord's will. But in the meantime, have a lovely evening, and Asalam Alaikum.